And we are back with another episode of the Great Movie Pod. I am one of your hosts, Noah, and this
Is me, Caleb, of course.
is him. He is
This
him,
is
as the
I.
kids say. Very
The new.
excited.
This is I, the newly minted grand uncle.
Oh
So
yes,
I'm just
grand
saying.
uncle.
Mhm.
There you go. Yeah, we did have a baby in the family. That was pretty exciting. We are we're back, second consecutive week after the break, so that's cool. Um, This we didn't mention it. I forgot. I made a note to mention it and didn't mention it. Last podcast was our 10th episode, so that's awesome. This will be
Yo
episode
yo.
11. Pretty excited about that. So if you are new to the channel, this is the Great Movie Pod. We talk about all things movies, TV, and sometimes maybe some video games. Haven't gotten into that yet, but maybe. And feel free to subscribe if you like the content. Hit a like, throw a comment our way if you want to see a movie reviewed or talked about. Um, Today's topic is a good topic, but a sad topic at the same time. Uh, this week we had some tragic news that Rob Reiner and his wife were horrifically slain in their home, um, and just tragic. But he meant so much to film and to television history, that we thought that we would be remiss if we did not do an episode similar to our episode we did with Robert Redford, post his passing. Um, yeah, I don't know if you want to, before we like dive into a specific movie. Do you have any thoughts about either what happened or Rob himself?
Yeah. Well, I guess without getting into too many of the details, just in terms of the tragedy, there's a little bit of a divide, in the interwebs, because he was a little divisive in terms of his later years, just for political stuff and everything. But all that aside, it is tragic in like the when someone passes. Robert Redford, he passed, and he was, I don't know how old he was, but he was not a young man, and that sort of stuff does happen, and it's tragic. But when you hear about something where there's a homicide, a double homicide, and by all accounts, he was beloved in his community. Now, what that means inside the family, who knows, of course, but um, it was like a legit tragedy that he didn't get to like enjoy all of his elder years, being, I'm
Yeah.
sure, with grandkids and doing all the things, and with the holidays coming up, how terrible that is, and um, so yeah, it's a tragedy in that regard, but I think also it allowed some of us that had seen a lot of his films to sort of think about them again,
Sure.
and sort of remember how much we loved, you know, XYZ movie. And so in that regard, it's sort of like when, Robert Redford passed away, like everyone's like, oh, my favorite movie was this. And people are like, no, 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 but you forgot this movie and you forgot this one. And so it really uh, helps to bring out the joy of film and TV and whatever it was that captured your attention, with his work.
Yeah. Yeah. I figured I would start off because a lot of people, probably attribute him as a director. But I figured I would start off with the acting credit that a lot of people will remember Rob for. All in the Family, the TV series from 1971, which is just iconic,
Yeah,
for so
that,
many
that
reasons.
ran what, 8 or 9 seasons, something like that.
Yeah.
It was a long series. Yeah.
It spanned from 1971 to 1979.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and obviously Archie and Edith Bunker, just classic, just like
Yeah.
Edith Bunker, like just she's just
Hmm.
iconic. But a lot of people forget, and I think sadly, Rob's passing reminded a lot of people that he plays the son.
Yeah.
in that show, and that show is great, and it's one of the rare cases where a show spawns a spin-off that does better. Almost in some people's minds, the Jeffersons was better than All in the Family in some people's minds, and that's very rare to do. That show was just so iconic for that
Well,
time.
what's interesting is that I sort of forgot about that connection, but All in the Family was too too old for me. So and then it also dealt with some like, some kind of not saying adult themes is sort of the wrong way of putting it, but like but I grew up, but I watched the Jeffersons. And so, it's like I could still sing the whole like intro song, and I know, you know, I can't remember all the names of the characters right now. But to me it was an interesting look at something because I was just a kid, and these were like people in a city in a high rise, and they're doing this, and it's like looking at a whole different world of life, whereas I was just
Yeah,
like,
because the Jeffersons ran from 75 to 85. They had a 10-year run.
I think I probably, well, somewhere along that, I don't actually even know when I don't know when reruns started to be a thing. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
Because I vaguely remember, but this was like that people, this is where all of a sudden, like, I'm just talking about my age now, because like we had a black and white TV to start with, and it was like you had to walk up and, and you only had like three, maybe four channels sometimes, and there maybe a fifth that was like some Spanish language or like I remember that's where I watched Doctor Who for the first time. Like I found it on a Saturday morning and I was like, "What is this? There's a guy but he doesn't have a name and he calls himself the Doctor, but he goes through space." But it wasn't on all the time, so I never got to. So that's the sort of thing I like. I watched Kung Fu Theater for the first time on one of those TVs, and I was like, all of a sudden, there's like death matches on TV, with these Asian dudes just like going at it, and I'm like, what, this is way different than my normal Saturday morning cartoons,
This is not
so
Tom and Jerry.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I think what's All in the Family, just as like a last note that I have on that, because I didn't have too much, but I wanted to mention it.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course. Yeah.
is if you go back and watch some of the episodes, obviously, some of the themes outdated, some of the takes definitely outdated, but but for that time, it tackled a lot of issues for the current day, for that era. It tackled a lot of, you said, adult themes, but like it is very interesting how many like cultural themes that it like grabbed onto and
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
addressed. And for
Mhm.
that kind of time, that's a very important show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
They really touch on a lot of themes that a lot of other TV shows basically, ignored or they didn't want to touch it or whatever. But All in the Family was like, and they had the perfect guy with, Archie Bunker to like, he's just like, I'm gonna go after it, and I'm just gonna like how in acting when they say you have to commit to something, and he was like the ultimate of commitment. He's like, I'm gonna go for it, and if I might get
yep.
fired, but I'm
and
going
then
for it.
and then Rob Reiner is like the perfect balance of like, hey, this is like this is what's actually going on. Let
You
me
know,
level you out.
his character reminded me a little bit of. It'd be interesting if I was ever well, it'd be cool to run into him, but it sort of resembled like the in the Parks and Rec Chris Pratt's character. Because
Okay, yeah.
I feel like there's like a sort of here they're big guys, they're a little goofy, they have moments of like like heartwarming stuff. I don't know, I would be cool, interesting to ask Chris if he ever had watched any of that or based any of his character on any of that. I don't know, be interesting.
I could see it. I could see it.
Hmm.
Do you have a Rob Reiner movie and or project that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I would say in terms of Rob Reiner, I am more familiar with him um, as a director rather than an actor, only because I know he had lots of roles and lots of things as an actor, but I didn't find that, and maybe, I think what his uh, what he was so good at was bringing all these elements together in a movie. Whereas I think it was his acting was just he just was kind of a bit character guy. You know,
Yeah.
you could make an argument. There's a few that were he is closer to a lead actor, but um, no, I think if I go way back in his directing career, well, we can't not mention this is Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Have to. Have
You
to.
know, like what's cool, what's interesting about that is, I haven't watched that in decades, so I the details are pretty blurry at this point. But it sort of struck me as like maybe one of the first like fake
The
mockumentary.
mockumentary?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's probably it's got to be one of the
it
first.
has
I
to be
mean,
one of the
it
first.
came
Yeah,
out in 1984. I doubt that there are any mockumentaries that are earlier than that.
I mean, if there are, someone throw it in the comments because I can't think of it. But it's what was cool and interesting about that group that was together. They then went on to do so many movies together, which are very much uh, like a genre of like this tongue-in-cheek, like we're serious but not serious. The what was the dog Best in Show? Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so they're just like all these little like they're not mockumentaries, but they are, and that's where like the sort of the genius sort of is.
100%. 100%. And the the cast of characters too is like for Spinal Tap specifically, you got
Yeah,
Michael McKean,
like Christopher
uh,
Guest, I think was one of
Christopher
them.
Guest,
Yeah,
yep, uh, and and Bruno Kirby,
Bill Kirby. Yeah.
uh, just like Ed Begley Jr.,
Hmm.
um, just like Fran Drescher too. I forgot she's in that too.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just such an interesting concept. Like just like we're gonna like I can't even think of like I couldn't sit in a chair and be like I'm gonna come up with Spinal Tap.
No.
Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
like that's so crazy. And they didn't pick actors that are like well known guys. They picked actors that if you saw in a documentary, you'd be like, yeah, that guy's a member of that band. Like
Yeah.
that's a real band. Like if you had picked like Alan Rickman, Morgan Freeman, like whoever, you'd
Yeah.
be like, okay, but I know that's Alan Rickman. I know that's Morgan Freeman. Part of the, we talked when we did our Tulsa King episode last week. If you haven't seen that, go watch that. But we talked a lot about casting and how perfect casting makes some of the greatest projects. And I think for Spinal Tap, for something of that goofy nature, that
Yeah.
just weird nature, that cast is just so great.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you brought up the name. I actually hadn't even, I didn't for, I forgot he was in the movie Bruno Kirby because he was starting to become a name, and it was because I think he had a didn't he have a bit part in one of the Godfather movies? You don't have to look it up because
Maybe.
that'll sidetrack us too much. But he was starting to get in some roles, and then which maybe was topped off with the Billy Crystal Western that he did.
Yeah, he played Peter Clemenza in The Godfather Part 2.
Right, yeah. Okay, I thought my
Yeah, yeah,
memory
yeah.
was like, yeah, so
Yeah.
he was starting to get into like being known, and then he was in that and a few other things, and then he was in the Billy Crystal movie. What was the name of that one? City
When
Slickers.
City Slickers? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I don't. It's interesting how some people's careers that kind of have this like 10-year run, even if you're a character actor, and then it just he probably was working for like the next 20 years. I don't really remember seeing him after that much.
And then I believe okay, never mind. I was just looking up to see I'm pretty sure he died super young too, didn't he?
I
I
don't
think
know.
I
I just remember just not seeing him much after that.
let me see here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He died in 2006 at age 57.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
real young.
Yeah.
I thought I saw that. Yeah, that's so That's so tragic
Yeah,
for someone who had put in such great character work.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. He's a great character actor.
and that's I feel like, and I'm sure we've talked about it, so I'm sure we will a whole episode on just on character actors. But just as an aside, tag going in the theme with Rob Reiner, because some of his movies, specifically Spinal Tap, it's very character actory. Um, it's amazing how important the character actor plays in any of your favorite movies. Just as an aside, like it, and some of the greatest movies, and we'll talk about one later, have a bunch of like character actors
I
all put
I
into.
wonder. I do wonder if that was one of Reiner's special skills was finding the right character actors and bringing them together because I felt like as he went along his career, he was able to choose like name actors more, and I don't think they were as successful. I think he does better with an ensemble cast, but that's not all true. I guess there we'll get into it. Like I one of the movies that he did, which was not a whole bunch of character actors, but was the movie Misery,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that was
James Caan.
yeah, and Kathy Bates, and it was basic. I don't know what the percentage is, but 80-90% of the movie is just those two, like in the middle of nowhere in a house in the winter. And I tell you what, I watched that movie once and I couldn't watch it again. Well, well, for one reason, once you know the end, you don't really feel like you have to watch a movie again. There's a lot of movies like that, like you experienced a movie and it's not like a rewatchable kind of movie. But also,
Yeah,
she takes a writer and she like kidnaps him, and I'm a writer, and so like that's like your
and you
worst
live in the
fear,
woods.
right? That's your worst fear. So
Your worst
you're
fear is
yeah,
you're working
so
on your house, your tiny
yeah, and
house. You're
just when
working on
she
your
puts the
house.
block of wood in between his feet, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, not good. And that's like, and Kathy Bates, that woman should maybe get her own pod at some point. But that her role in that is just nuts. She is crazy in that movie.
literally, yeah.
And uh, as far as like, you know, as a person, he's gotten kind of weird in his older age. But like, as far as like Stephen King related material goes, that's
Yeah.
one of the best adaptations still to this day. And
Well,
that
well, you're
movie came out in 1990.
1990. Yeah. It would be interesting to do have a conversation about Stephen King movies, books turned movies or novellas, because
Yeah,
I love all kinds of reading material. But I've never liked Stephen King's books. They're just long and they're boring, and he gets a little weird with some of them in terms of like adding. I won't talk about it on here because I'm not sure what flag stuff on different platforms, but he brings some stuff up that like if like an honest broker would like pull him inside and go, "Why are you writing about this topic about underage?" Da 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 da.
yeah, yeah.
Let's not touch on that stuff. So, but ironically, even though I know there's a ton of people that love his reading his stuff, but like his ideas for a lot of his books, that's where that translates really well onto the big screen.
And so many adaptations. I think yeah, we should do that pod sometime.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Um, just yeah, Misery is nuts. And James Caan, uh, that was one of his later performances. I don't think he did too many after that. I'm trying to think. I
Well,
obviously he did Elf, but
well, no,
did he?
he did a bunch of TV work after that. So he was doing TV work into the 2000s.
But I'm talking about like big movies that like
Oh
people
yeah, he
remember.
was.
It was like that and Elf. Those were the kind of last
Yeah,
two.
that was about it, I think. Yeah, yeah, as far as I can think. Yeah. What's interesting, and I brought it up on one of our last pods was that I had a very very minimal connection to James Caan for a movie I was working on, and it was um it I the details are a little vague at this point because it's been a while, but a friend of mine knew him or knew
Hmm.
his agent, some kind of so it was a very thin. I never talked to him, um but it was a close enough contact that we were able to get in touch with him and his agent about working on the film, and we got like what his daily rates were for acting. And he made a lot of money for a couple days work. The guy was, $100,000 for like 3 days work or whatever it was. It's like they make a lot of money.
Yeah,
And
yeah. You do one Godfather film and then you're set
oh
for
yeah, I mean it's
life.
just like, oh my God. So yeah, that's about the only connection, was that basically was that he was interested in doing the role that we had set up for him. And but then our one of our financiers got blackmailed or hoodwinked or something, and so the financer, he was a magazine mogul in Houston, Texas, and he got taken to the cleaners and lost everything, and someone left the country with his money.
Oh
So all
no.
the money, because his money would have basically paid for James Caan to shoot the film, and then having James Caan in the film would have then made it possible to get distribution because of the formula that the studios and
Yeah,
everyone uses. And so,
yeah.
and then a whole lot of terrible, terrible things happen on that movie, and it'll never see the light of day.
Well, at least you almost got James Caan.
Yeah, yeah, woulda, coulda, almost. Yep, almost hit her. Yeah.
Um, Getting back to Rob Reiner, another film that I have to talk about, just for me, is When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, sure.
Um,
Yeah,
classic film from 1989. Uh, Another Bruno Kirby performance in
yep,
that.
yep. Hmm.
Um, Carrie Fisher is one of the
Hmm.
greatest like supporting characters like for that film. She's you think of her as Star Wars, but she has a good funny bone. Like she has a good like touch on the funny. And I think, a lot of that is Rob Reiner and the style of film he wanted to
Oh,
make.
sure. Yeah,
But he again with the casting and then of course like the Harry and Sally, the titular roles, you've got Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan. And I think it's one of the greatest on-screen couples of all time.
oh,
And
they
my
had
like
such amazing chemistry.
the chemistry is so good. Just that scene in the diner, I'll have what she's having. Like that's it's so classic. I think they even did a Super Bowl that commercial that spoofed that because it's so
Yeah, they're really
iconic.
good. Yeah.
And there's beautiful use of just from a directing standpoint of split screen when they're on the phone. There's a couple segments throughout the movie where Harry will be on the phone and it split screens to him talking to his buddy, and then it split screens to Sally talking to her buddy, and it's just like there. It's such a great use of the split screen that no one does anymore. No one
Right.
uses the split screen anymore, and I like that little like the side wipe and then the back.
Yeah.
Like it's great. I love it, and that's
Yeah.
shout
And,
out
and
to Rob Reiner for the direction on that. That's
yeah. And it was he had he's still around, and I know I'm sure he does little bit parts, Billy Crystal, but like Billy Crystal is like, I think he's not forgotten. That's the wrong word, because he's
no,
like a legend but he's not known really to the younger generation as much. But he had this fantastic run of, I don't know, probably at 20 to 25 years, somewhere in there. I don't,
yeah,
well, I didn't do any research on him, but just up to, in Harry Met Sally, he was doing this, his ability to deliver dialogue that's written for him, and then probably mixing in a certain good amount of ad libbing. Um, but, like we just mentioned City Slickers, and he's in that also, of course, but he's one of the very rare few. And you can, and when you like, I don't really watch talk shows anymore because, the late night stuff, because it's gotten so politically divided, and every other guest is some politician or some, like, you're supposed to make people laugh, but like they go on some talk show and like it's like the news anchor from CNN, and it's like, dude, like get an actor or something, or a comedian or somebody. Like a 30-year show shouldn't be talking about this is boring. But I think a good measurement of who is innately funny are those who can sit on a couch and just make you have an enjoyable experience or laughter with them. Like the great, as one of your favorites, Jonathan Winters, obviously,
yeah,
Robin Williams. But then you have the Billy Crystals, and but then when you sometimes you plant an actor on that couch, and if nothing's written for them, they're not particularly funny or interesting. you know. So Billy Crystal was one of those guys you could sit on a couch and or be in a movie, Harry McSally, whatever, and it just entertain you so well.
Yeah, yeah, and it's I think the younger generation he has that role in Monsters Inc. Mike Wazowski, so the
Oh, sure.
younger generation does does remember him, but only if you say he's Mike from Monsters Inc., which is so sad because he's so much more
Yeah.
than that. And I think When Harry Met Sally is the perfect film to like highlight all of his talents, not just as like a comedian, but as a straight man, as a guy trying to find a girl. Like there's I don't know, there's a human quality that he adds to that role that's not like, oh, this is a movie I'm watching. It's like, oh, this like I've seen this this kerfuffle happen between people. Like I've seen
Yeah.
this is a real person.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but that's just one of the greatest comedies I think ever, and it's untouchable. Every time I watch it, I'm like, ah, yeah, it's still good.
Hmm.
It's still
Hmm.
good. Another movie that is good every time you watch it, that we also have to mention is A Few Good Men.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a good
It's
film.
oh my gosh, and a lot of people only know it for the one scene. I feel like people don't know that the whole movie is a good movie. They like
Right.
know the one courtroom. You can't handle the truth. Like they know
Hmm.
that scene and that's it. But the whole movie is flawless. Like it's a great movie.
Yeah. And
Like
you know, it was interesting, and this was again where we talk about the tragedy of losing someone too soon, and then re-remembering that the person what they had done, and I didn't even realize he directed that.
I didn't
And
either. I didn't either.
I've seen that a ton of times because I like you said, it's a great movie from start to finish. Um, and but you know what's interesting is that like Rob Reiner's known for um a few movies. They know him for like Spinal Tap and Princess Bride, but again, he directed a movie that isn't about all smiles and laughter in Misery
Hmm.
and in A Few Good Men, and then there's another one that we could talk um, about like a lynching in the 1960s or so. Called the movie's called Ghosts of Mississippi,
Mississippi. Yeah.
which is an excellent drama back
Yeah.
when before um, Alec Baldwin kind of went insane, you know, and started like shooting people in the face. So
And doing these weird whisper videos. Have you seen these?
no, I think I don't because on my social media accounts I mute words.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He does these videos now where he'll react to things, but he'll be very quiet and he'll just be like did you see the whole I maybe it escaped you because you're sometimes above the drama, but did you see that Quentin Tarantino said that Paul Dano is a bad actor? Did you catch all
Oh,
that?
I did see that, but I'm not gonna disagree entirely with Quentin on this one.
Okay, so you and Quentin are the only two on the internet apparently that agree. But
He's
do you,
way Paul Dano's way overrated.
well, we might this pod might go viral now. Unfortunately, not because of Rob Reiner, but yeah. So where was I going with that? Oh, so Alec Baldwin. All these celebrities were coming to Paul Dano's aid. Oh, he's fantastic. I've worked. Paul Dano's great. This, that, and the other. And Alec Baldwin made a video, and he's in his car, and he's like, I don't do an impression, but this is basically the video. He's like, people that don't agree with Paul Dano being a great actor. That's the video. The whole thing, and his new thing now is just like he gives like takes in his car, but they're all hushed, like just like peanut butter and jelly is a great sandwich, and then like that's the video. Like there's
You know,
nothing.
this is the problem with the modern social media is that once it's in the hands of celebrity, like they want the attention. That's why they do the press junkets and they go to the interviews and they go to the red carpets and then they get all the attention from all the assistants from when they're on set, and then they have assistant
Yeah,
at home, and then they have their agent. Like, but now they have a little device they can record into all day long, and it's just like, stop. And I actually think that's one of the reasons that a lot of them, unfortunately, start getting into the political stuff because they know it's whatever. This is a hot button issue of the day, and I think that's why I eventually muted his name because after he shot that person on the set, I was like, everyone's just talking about it day after day after day. I'm like,
Just gotta mute it.
I feel terrible that the event happened, but I just don't care to hear about it anymore. And so I
Yeah.
don't even, I haven't even looked at my list when I block words. Because it's just whatever's happened to be annoying me that day, and I never take it off my list. So,
Yeah. But real quick, A Few Good Men.
oh, it's such a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah. The cast. Like we were probably bludgeoning people to at this point with like how great we love our casts, but this movie is such a. We talked before about Spinal Tap of like an all star list of character actors. Now we have an all star list of like head honchos. You've got Tom Cruise, Kevin Bacon, Jack Nicholson, Keith Sutherland.
Well,
Uh,
I don't know if Kevin Bacon's a head honcho though.
well, maybe not now, but in when Kevin Bacon in Footloose, man,
I've had
in
a problem with
his.
Kevin Bacon since college, so I
What
just say
is your
that.
beef with Kevin Bacon?
I can't say it I can't say it on air.
You can't say your beef with Kevin Bacon on air. Okay.
No, yeah,
Did he steal
it's
a woman from you?
sort of.
Okay. 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 All right. Well, apparently this podcast has beef. I do not have beef with Kevin Bacon.
And yeah, and
Demi.
back in the day, Kiefer was definitely in his like, yeah, he was
Yeah.
doing, yeah,
Demi
big stuff.
Moore. Um,
And
and then
that was Demi Moore in prime hotness, Demi
yeah,
Moore.
yeah, yeah,
Like
and then
I don't have any kind of thing, but like when Demi Moore shows up in like the navy whites and it's just like looks like it was sprayed paint on her, I'm like, oh, good lord.
and then again, Christopher Guest is back. Rob Reiner uses him again. Another interesting pod to note would be actors using directors, where we just do a pod about like actor director combos because there's a bunch of those that just directors like to use the same actors over and over again. But Guest is back, and then we talked about him last
Uh,
week.
was it JP Walsh?
No, but that's
Oh,
another.
last week, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about him last week, but the ever amazing Kevin Pollock.
Oh yeah. He's so
Yeah,
good.
just so good. And lately,
And
because
Cuba Gooding Jr. also.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. I forgot about
Small
that.
small
Yeah,
one. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But because of um, Rob's passing, they've been promoting the old videos of any interview relating to A Few Good Men, and I
Mm.
keep getting just these ridiculous Jack Nicholson stories, and it's awesome. I love all the things that keep coming across my feed. There was one, it was either Rob Reiner or Kevin Pollock. I think it was Kevin Pollock, but Kevin Pollock was like finishing shooting, and Jack Nicholson's walking behind him, and uh, he says something to Kevin like, "You want to know what's funny?" And Kevin turns around and he realizes that like Jack Nicholson is talking to him, and
Right.
then he tells this whole story, and I'm gonna link the interview to the bottom of this pod. So if you guys are gonna watch it, go watch it. But he tells this story, and I won't tell the story because I'll have people watch it. But basically, Jack Nicholson tells him a story that he was thinking about in his own mind, and goes, "Isn't that fascinating?" And then just goes back in his trailer, and like it had nothing to do with Kevin whatsoever, and Kevin's standing there like, did anyone see that, like did like it's just like, did that just happen, like what on earth? And so there's all these stories from that film. And I think, obviously the cast gets so much credit. Jack Nicholson has obviously got that "you can't handle the truth" Tom Cruise, but I think a lot of people don't remember that that movie is written by Aaron Sorkin,
Yeah.
and that's like Aaron. And we could probably do a whole podcast on Aaron Sorkin with how much stuff he's written. But man, he just has some of the best writing in the business, and I think that courtroom scene is like evidence. Obviously, Jack Nicholson way escalates how that is written, probably, but
Well, wait, I don't. I'm not, and I don't want you to look it up either because that'll take too much time because we're a little limited on time today. But uh, I think that was maybe Tom Cruise's first big stab into like a drama, and that he was taken seriously at the same time because in that scene he holds his own.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
obviously, it's the whole scene is iconic, and he holds his own throughout any of the scenes with Nicholson, or because Nicholson just eats up movie scenes because he's just his personality is so big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And his eyebrows are big too.
yeah,
He's got
that's true.
the
Yeah,
forehead. Yeah. Uh, yeah. No, Tom Cruise is so. I think people forget, like, in that scene, Tom Cruise. That scene, I don't think works as well if Jack Nicholson is just doing what he's doing against a random actor. It
right,
works because Tom Cruise is like, like just giving it to him back. Like it's not.
right. Yeah.
It's yeah. It's such a great balance. Um, yeah. Trying to think if I had anything else I wanted to throw in.
That sort of reminds me, like sometimes when you have a really big personality, you really do have to match them with that energy and personality, or it just doesn't quite work. That's why sometimes, like to me, I think of like a Robert Downey Jr. who is that kind of big
Mm,
energy, and unless you meet him with that energy, then like he will overtake the scene. You know,
yeah, yeah,
there's a spectrum of
and
that.
shout out to Rob Reiner on the direction because the way they handle that whole court, I feel like courtroom scenes are interesting because if you have too many, like you just said, if you have too many of heavy hitters and they don't balance and your cuts aren't where they need to be or your camera angles aren't where they need to be, like there needs to be a perfect balance, especially in a small space. Like if you're in a battle, like if there's like a large scale war, not so much. But if you're in a tiny confined space, or if you're in like a courtroom setting or a room, the ability to direct and then have the pieces you need to get a scene like that when you
Yeah,
have such talent. Yeah, is it's very impressive.
yeah. Yeah, and it does remind me of a lot of different movies where you'll have some major actors like the guy, and then they might have character actors, but they're just not real strong character actors, and so it seems a little lopsided with things because it's like, oh, the main character is the only one that can have a cool line, you know, and so that has a lot to do with casting, directing, and the producing of it, and that's why when you get that marriage that works so well together, I think that's why Spielberg, obviously, he's an easy one to mention, but he's also very consistent with who he works with because he knows they can cast correctly. He could be a producer or something and say, "Hey, I'd like to make X movie," and then he's confident that his casting director and he's either going to find the right people, and then he can swoop in and do his stuff. And
Yeah,
that's why Tarantino often works with the same people. Also, there's a comfort level, of course, too. But so
yeah.
Reiner definitely had that as well. I didn't go into the weeds so much and look to see who his casting directors were and all that kind of stuff because I got things to do. Um,
We've got
but I
farther
do think we
in.
should mention one of his first films, which was very much departure from the stuff we have been mentioning. A film called Stand by Me,
Mm,
which is sort of a coming of age drama of kids. They're, I guess, 12, 13, 14 years old, and starring Will Wheaton, who it was like he's one of those actors who got a lot of stuff when he was young and then into his early years and then kind of dropped off the map a little bit. And sometimes you can be typecast, but sometimes it's like your looks don't proceed the way people think they're going to.
yeah.
So he always looked young, and it was harder for him to be in a war movie or be in these other things. But also it starred Jerry O'Connell, the same kind of thing. He didn't have as much success as well, he's probably
Well,
older than me.
Will Wheaton, I will say, not to say you're wrong, but I think a lot, and I have no proof on this, but I think a lot of Will's fall off had to do with how much people hated Wesley on Star Trek.
That could be too. Yeah,
God damn it, Wesley! Like it just,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. He
yeah.
he was a
Anyway,
complete
sorry,
dork on that
I
show.
had to mention that before you moved on because
Well,
that
no, no, and
definitely played
also
a.
also there's aside from probably I don't know if I don't know if he could be straight or gay. I don't know, but whoever he's with enjoys that, and they're the only one that wanted to see him in that outfit. I'm just saying.
The red ensign outfit. Yeah, no, nope.
Yeah, no, no. And then the other two people that were in that film who were notable, Corey Feldman and of course the late River Phoenix, who was, as everyone has talked, although they don't talk about it much now, but he had a trajectory that was like it felt like a trajectory of like the James Dean trajectory. Like he just was like when he was on screen, people were sort of like enraptured with something,
You know
and
what?
so he was in it. And then, like I said, Corey Feldman, who unfortunately for that kid, like it's we're not I'm not going to get into the details, but um, people have heard about the darker side of Hollywood, and it seems like he was a victim of the darker side of Hollywood, and
Yep.
I think that probably a mix of that derailed his career, and then also probably um, he could have been blacklisted to some degree because if once you out anybody in Hollywood for doing something terrible, they'll often, the word will spread. And so anyway, it's unfortunate because I think I mean, he was in Goonies. I mean, he was a fun actor for up in, I don't know, until he was about 20, 25, something like that.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
haven't seen it, people, um, definitely something that stands the test of time in terms of a coming of age film, and
Yeah.
also a based on a novella by Stephen King.
Another Stephen King, which
Yeah,
is just nuts. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a pod. Hopefully soon. I like
sure.
that. There's so many adaptations. Yeah, it's yeah, River Phoenix. Man, that's so sad. I've watched so many episodes, not episodes, I should say, interviews of Joaquin Phoenix talking about his brother and
Yeah,
like him saying, "Yeah, like you think I'm good? This guy would have been
he
like
was so
way,
natural. Did you ever
yeah."
get the chance to watch um shoot, I just had it in my head and then we were talking about something else. Uh, uh shoot.
River Phoenix. Was
Uh,
it Indiana Jones?
no, no, no. Did you ever watch
Okay.
My Own Private Idaho?
No.
Yeah, that was with him and Keanu when they were both very young.
Whoa.
Unless I'm
Okay.
misremembering completely, and I don't think
What?
I am.
What's that about?
It's sort of hard to explain. But it is another coming of age film.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
From 1991.
91. Yeah, it's about
Ah.
yeah,
It's
Because
about
River
street
Phoenix died.
hustlers. Okay.
Yeah, because Phoenix River Phoenix didn't he die right outside of like the Viper Room, which was
Yes.
owned by Johnny Depp?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Oh, okay.
COVID.
You got James Russo in there. That's
Yeah,
cool. Oh, and it's directed by Gus Van Sant. I love Gus Van Sant.
yeah.
Okay. I'll have
That's
to
why it
check
was
that
like
out.
that was in my prime. Well, that's when indie films were really, I think, their pinnacle was like the 90s of indie films of just like you could go to like a blockbuster, God rest its soul, and you don't go for the blockbusters that are already checked out. You go to where like all these indie films that half people have never heard of. Those are the ones you load it up on and watch them and just gold and
We're
gold and stuff.
remiss that we don't have that kind of thing anymore. Like you have suggestions on Netflix, you have suggestions on Amazon,
But it was
but
a
there's
whole
no like,
thing. It
yeah.
was like you like all pile in a car and you're like, oh, it's Blockbuster closes in 10 minutes and you're just flying down the road and you get inside and you're like, what's left?
So cool thing. I don't know if I think I've told you about this before, and you might have downloaded it or looked at it or something. But there's a app slash website called Letterboxd,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, I have
it's
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Letterboxd is opening their own streaming service, not
Hmm.
next year, but the year after, I think. And their point is to be the like the blockbuster of streaming services. So it's all going to be curated streaming lists. So maybe a specific director's favorite movies, and these are where this is where you stream them all. Maybe it goes and they're like, hey, Tom Hanks, what's your favorite films? And he lists like 5 obscure Japanese films, and then they have those all for you to watch. So they're going
Right.
to curate things much like a blockbuster did. So I'm excited to see that
Hmm.
could be a possibility. That's interesting to me.
That's interesting. Yeah, I have the app and I think I've gone through a couple hundred movies on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I actually forgot I had that app on my phone.
Yeah. Um, well, this podcast would not be complete talking about the great Rob Reiner without probably his most memorable film, and that is The Princess Bride.
Yes, yes.
Just an utter classic. Really good adaptation of a book. Um,
Hmm.
Again, which I apparently he's really good at directing adaptations. Uh, but man, that movie, I remember the first time I watched Princess Bride. I was in Vermont in the log cabin,
Oh wow.
and my parents, we had gone up for like a weekend or something, and my parents had rented the VHS tape, I think from Blockbuster,
Oh wow.
of The Princess Bride.
Huh,
And they were like, we're going to watch one of the greatest movies of all time. And we were like, what could this be? And we watched it, and I have watched it ever since.
yeah.
It is such a classic. So many quotable lines,
Oh yeah.
so
I could
much
almost quote throughout the whole
like
movie all at
word
once.
for word. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, and I don't know. I'm
Inconceivable.
yeah. It's a
Yeah, I don't think that word means what you think it means.
it's so good. The cliffs of insanity.
My name is Indigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Oh
It's so
man,
good. And
like
uh, there obviously we don't list them, but we'll go through a few of the roles. But I don't think there has been a like you can watch a TV show or a movie, and often we'll say this person was born for that role, right?
yeah,
So you could have like a Marlon Brando as the Godfather, or I almost said Han Solo first, Harrison Ford as Han Solo. So there are those kind of performances, and I feel like Cary Elwes, is just so perfect in his role.
so good, so good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love it so much. He's got like it's so interesting because he's for the beginning of the movie, he's obviously this poor like as you wish, like he's doing the thing, and then
yeah,
he comes and he's got so much swagger and
right, yeah,
pizzazz as the Dread Pirate Roberts,
yep.
and yeah, he's just so good. And like Mandy Patinkin, just
Uh,
incredible.
he's one of my favorite actors that
Mm,
I think. But if you had asked me this like 15, 20 years ago, I would have said this guy just needs a shot to like he'd be the next whatever. And then after he did Homeland for like gosh, I think it was on for about
there's
10
like
years.
10 seasons. Yeah,
But like he did get a shot, and his shot what he liked to do, he loves to do theater.
yeah,
And
yeah,
um and so he would always keep going back to do theater
yeah. And
in
he
between.
did. It's funny because yeah, he got a big shot and is the reason why this show is so successful. But he was in Criminal Minds, which
Yeah,
everyone
just
loves,
for like
and
a season, like one or
one
two seasons.
season did so good, and he was like, "No, this is dark. This is too dark for me." And then he
Yeah.
did Homeland.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
And it was
yeah,
like my wife always
yeah.
talks about that. She was like, yeah, like she was a huge Criminal Minds fan, and she was like, Mandy Patinkin is so good. He said he wanted to leave and do something lighter, and I was like, well, I'm watching Homeland right now, and he just got kidnapped by the Taliban, and
Yeah.
I don't think that's any lighter.
Yeah, I
But
think I watched the first maybe 4 or 5 seasons of Homeland.
yeah,
But he was also in a either ER or Chicago Hope. It was one of his first.
I think it's
I don't
I
know.
think it's Chicago.
It doesn't matter, I suppose. But so as much as I wanted to see him do bigger things on screen, he definitely found his niche, which was
It is
TV.
Chicago Hope.
Chicago Hope. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah, he found his niche. And then, Robin Wright, she's done so many things since then, but like
Oh yeah.
she's so great as the
You know,
Princess
and
Bride.
what year did The Princess Bride come out? Was that like 92 ish?
That was 87.
Okay, so
Yeah.
whatever. So she's basically been fantastic her whole career, which is
Yeah.
maybe why Sean Penn ended up like, hey, because like I like acting too.
Right,
But
right, right.
well, he started off as a goofball. Well, actually, who knows? I don't know what she did at the very, very beginning, but basically since then, all the way through, I saw her in something in the last year or two, and
Okay.
she is aging so
So
well. Oh my
gracefully.
gosh.
Well, I mean, if you look at her at House of Cards,
Oh yeah,
smoke show.
yeah,
Smoke show.
yeah.
I mean, also with her acting, but like yeah,
Well,
aging like
yeah,
fine wine.
she is one of those rare breeds. And what's interesting is that like I don't, we're not doing a podcast about her, so I didn't do a deep dive at all on her. I'm just thinking like
Yeah.
she definitely seems that she's more drawn to dramatic roles rather than other stuff because she could. It's like there's like there's plenty of actresses that are very pretty and very talented, and
Yeah.
most of them, if they're pretty, they almost always cast pretty people in Hollywood. We get that, but
Yeah,
most of
yeah.
them at some point will play someone who's supposed to be pretty in the film, and although she is supposed to be pretty in The Princess Bride, I suppose, but it seems that she'll be a detective or she'll like something dramatic. She's
Yeah.
not worried about like
Yeah.
having her looks carry her at all.
Right, right. And then
And
of course
speaking of people whose looks do not carry them at all, is the great Wallace Shaw.
yes, Wallace Shawn. I love Wallace Shawn so much. He is so great. He's that character, though not on screen for very long.
No, no, he what is it like
Is
two scenes or something? Three?
probably, yeah, he's in the boat. That, Your Highness, is the sound of the shrieking eagles.
So
It's so great.
oh, and then when they're just having like this like the what do they call it the
Battle of Wits.
battle of wits.
Yeah, my
That
favorite thing. So there's so he has one of the best lines, and then right after that, the prince, Chris Sarandon, has one of the greatest lines in all of cinema. I think they do
mhm.
the Battle of Wits, and they do the iocane thing, and they're like, it's odorless. Da 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 da. They do this whole thing. They make it clear that this thing is that this thing is odorless, and he's tracking he's tracking Buttercup, and he picks up the thing, and he gives it a whiff, and he goes, iocane, I bet my life on it. And it is the funniest line because like they just made a whole point that you cannot smell this thing, you can't taste this thing. It's
Mhm.
and he's iocane, I bet my life on it. It's such a good line. And that
Mhm.
movie has such just every single it cuts it every single, and even to this day the dialogue holds up. Like the jokes are still funny. I
Yeah.
watched it I don't know, a couple years ago, and I was expecting for it to be, hokey, and it was, but like the jokes are still, there's
Oh yeah.
nothing there's nothing cultural, there's nothing timely. It is like it is ageless. Like the
Yeah.
comedy works so well. Like the pit of despair.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's like, the pit of despair. You're never gonna get out of here. Like,
By the way, before I forget, about Wallace Shaw, if you or any of the audience hasn't seen it, check out a movie called My Dinner with Andre.
brilliant movie.
Fantastic, fantastic film. Anyway, you guys have to look that up. We're not talking about that one, but
Yeah. And then bringing back two guys that we've already talked about, Billy Crystal as Miracle Max, which is
oh yeah,
just so great, so great.
so great.
He said to blave, which is we all know is to bluff. So you were playing cards and he cheated. Like it's just,
Have fun storming
it's
the castle.
it's so good. Do you think it'll work? It'll take a miracle. It's just it's such a great little scene. It's like that's he's plays such one of the weirdest characters in any movie, just like this goofy little magician dude, and it's it's so good. He's just trying to revive him, and it's this whole like his wife is chasing him around the room, and that's Carol Kane, and
Carol
Carol
Kane,
Kane
yeah,
is just they're perfect. Like they have such good chemistry on
yeah.
screen. It's brilliant.
And
And then
we can't forget Andre the Giant though. who
Oh
is
yeah,
like,
no, no, I'm getting to him. I'm
oh, okay,
getting to
okay,
him. Yeah, but I with the other guy. We once again Christopher Guest. He plays the six fingered
the six
man.
fingered man. Yes,
Yes, which is so good.
I
I
see.
love
I see that you have six fingers on your hand. So good.
it's so good. And yeah, and then we can't forget Andre the Giant. What a legend.
And
Um,
he's so funny in that movie too. And I mean,
Brilliant.
I think we're gonna think whoever's watching the film is gonna think he's funny regardless. But he just like that joke about the Holocaust cloak, and like, man, what I wouldn't give for a Holocaust cloak. And then he's like, you mean like this?
You know, like this. Yes.
He has
They're
one.
like, where did you, Fezzik? What did you do with the wheelbarrow we had with the albino? Over the albino, of course. It's great, and he's got such the witticisms that they give him, the way he just lays them out, like stop rhyming, I mean it. Anybody want a peanut? He just it's so good. Oh man, that's such a great little thing. And then Peter Falk.
Oh,
Peter
the great
Falk.
Peter Falk.
The
Oh
great
yeah.
Peter Falk. Columbo. I can't do the eyes. But that's man, the
Can you do a Columbo?
I'm working on it. I'm
Okay.
working on it. It's still not there. It is nowhere, and it won't ever. The greatest Peter Falk impression is done by we already mentioned him.
Oh yeah, yeah, Pollock.
Um,
Yeah,
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 Pollock. Yeah, that guy's is so good. But that just that movie, the cast of characters, and then it's got a guy. I don't even know if I won't look him up because it'll take whatever. But
right.
uh, the marriage guy, the marriage, like,
Is what
like
brings
that
us together
he
today.
might he might not have done another movie. I mean, I'm sure he did, but like
Oh
he
yeah,
might
yeah.
not have ever done another movie.
He has though,
And
because I remember seeing him in another movie thing, and just he didn't hit a different voice, and I was like, oh, this guy he's actually an actor.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. But like that's what people remember the marriage. There's
Hmm.
just it is a timeless classic. It never ends. Um, and then in 2020 during the pandemic, one of the cooler things that celebrities did, they did a lot of things that were dumb, but one of the cooler things celebrities did is they did this reenactment of the Princess Bride uh, over Zoom, where they would do read throughs of the Princess Bride, and different people would play the different parts.
Oh,
And one of the coolest little things is Rob Reiner played Fred Savage's character in the bed, and just before he passed, his dad, Carl Reiner,
oh, sure. Yeah.
played Peter Falk's character.
Yeah.
And it was this sweet little like exchange between the two of them, and that was one of the last things that Carl Reiner did. I think he'd made it done maybe one movie before, but that was like one of the last things before Carl died. And I just there's I don't know, that was there was a few things that celebrities did in the pandemic that was like, what are you doing? There's
Yeah.
this the whole singing around the world thing, and they were all in their mansions and out of touch. But one of the good things was the reenactment of Princess Bride, and it's because that is one of the movies that will never and should never get remade. Uh,
Oh yeah. That's on
that's
the do not remake
do
list.
not remake list. That is, we've talked about movies we'd like to see remade. That is not one of them. That should never be touched. It should never be messed with. I don't want a sequel. I don't want a prequel. I don't want
Nope.
what spin off. I don't need any of it. I just need nothing.
Yeah.
Um, Unless you're telling me that Inigo Montoya as I don't even know. But back then there were spin-offs that made sense when people were younger and Rob Reiner was still alive. And now that Rob Reiner is gone and people are older, nothing. I don't want anything. I don't want anything.
I second that.
I'm against it. But yeah, Rob Reiner, a great legacy, and there's even things we didn't mention, but these are just some of like the highlights of an amazing career of a man who has meant a lot to cinema, to movies that we love. Um, any notes before we send off?
No, I just think it's when you're gonna do a career at something, do it as well as you can. Don't half-ass it.
Yeah.
and he didn't. He worked really hard, and maybe at the detriment of some other things. I don't know, but just when you're doing a thing like King Jr. said, if you even if you're a guy, cleaning the street, do it your top of your game, and he was at the top of his game for quite a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as always, this has been another episode of the Great Movie Pod. If you made it to the end, comment Rob down below, just so we know you made it to the end.
Yeah,
And let us know what other kind of pods you'd like to see, your favorite Rob Reiner movie, or show, or what have you, or role. We didn't really talk about him as an actor, but he did a lot of really good roles. Um, uh, just yeah, put that in the comments. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
later, guys.